welcome to the Abundant and Aligned podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I know this conversation is going to be incredible. So thank you.
Now, I'm itching to learn from you today. As I just said before we hit record, we've never had someone like you on the show today. But for those who have just sat down with us, we have a Feng Shui expert joining us. You have appeared in media outlets such as The Morning Show. You just mentioned you're back there this week. The Morning Show here in Australia and over in the UK. You are the author of The Calm and Happy Home. And your body of work really is our home will either support us in business or potentially block money and clients and success. Now, as I shared before we hit play, my audience are full of women in business who naturally want to make more money. So I'm so excited to be asking all the questions today when it comes to our home and our spaces, and again, whether they are supporting our growth or blocking our growth. So I'm really excited. Firstly, how the hell did you get into this kind of work?
I mean, it's a great question because I used to be a teacher. So I've had,
That's a big change.
it is, I've had an eclectic mix of jobs over my lifetime. So I was a teacher for 10 years in the UK. I loved it. I was made redundant at 40 and I it was a bit of a handbrake, like an emergency handbrake. I didn't know what to do. That's all I knew. That's what I guess my training was. And it was in lockdown, so it wasn't easy just to go out and, find a new job. And I set up a business. I set up a business in February 2020, so a month before the world, shut down. Not a great time to start a business. Well, in the line of work that I wanted to do, which was all client facing. So that was really difficult. And I felt like no matter what I did, nothing was particularly generating the what I wanted from my career. And I was trying everything. I was doing the training, I was turning up on social media, even though I didn't really know what I was doing. I was putting myself out there, making myself feel uncomfortable. I was doing all the manifesting stuff that people talk about, writing stuff on post-it notes, burying them, burning them, like whatever it took. I was like, I'm going to try this because if I can just magic all this money into my life, that would be amazing. And, it didn't happen. And then I literally stumbled across the podcast where there was a Feng Shui expert talking actually about how you can use Feng Shui to welcome a partner into your life. And I remember so vividly, I was vacuuming my bedroom and I had my headphones on. I just thought, what a load of rubbish. Like, how can you change some stuff in your home and magically this person's going to appear in your life? And the host actually, she did meet somebody a couple of weeks later. She met somebody. Now, he wasn't the right person. So it's really important to say when we put our intentions out there, we're quite specific with what we want. And so I sort of went down a rabbit hole of investigating this thing called Feng Shui. I didn't even know how to pronounce it. I still don't even pronounce it properly. It should be Feng Shui. But even within that, there's a business reason behind that because if I said Feng Shui, nobody would find my website because it's the Feng Shui Flow. And also where I'm from in England, we like to overpronounce our vowels as well. So even that sort of marks me down as somebody that shouldn't be doing Feng Shui because I can't pronounce it in the first place. But what I found was that so many of the world's most successful people in the world practiced an element of Feng Shui. And you don't have to go all in, you can just take little bits. There was Richard, these are all reportedly, obviously, because it's online, but Richard Branson, Madonna, the Beckhams, Gwyneth Paltrow, even, Donald Trump of all people, but there's a certain wave of affluence that comes with those people. And essentially, it's just about creating an environment where people thrive. And so, if you take Richard Branson, for example, you're looking at hotels, you want people to relax because then they'll come back, they'll spend more money. Shopping centres, the more people that are, again, relaxed, not stressed, you spend more money, you spend more time there. Airports are even feng shuied. If you think to hotels supermarkets and airports, most of them have got a water fountain in there, which comes from a theory of Feng Shui that water brings flow, it brings abundance, it's cleansing as well. We fly back to the UK via Singapore, and they've got this like whole part of one of the terminals. It's just like this big giant waterfall that's going around. Same with Dubai, like it's done, but nobody talks about it. So then I was like, well, this is a bit like, how does everyone else know about it? And here we are, teachers, whatever, trying to create this world of affluence, of joy, of all of these things. How come I don't know about this? And so then I was like, okay, I want my house feng shuied. I contacted the person that did it. And there's different depths of feng shui that you can go to. You can have your home analyzed, which is what I do for people. And it's like astrology for the home. So I look at when your home was built. It can be an apartment, whatever it is, when it was built, where it sits geographically, and almost like your astrological blueprint, that tells me the energy that's happening in your space. So I can tell you what's going on, whether it's emotional, heavy, good for money, stuck, all of these, argumentative, all of these things. And we use the five elements to balance the energy in the home, just like acupuncture does. And again, I was a bit like, this sounds a bit bonkers. Like I'm putting a picture of water here, or a bit of fiery colours here, or using actual metal, which again just sounds absolutely ludicrous. But metal it's just as natural as a crystal, but it just doesn't look as beautiful as a crystal. It is from the earth. It's a really grounding element, but we don't see it like that. We just see it as something that you build with. And so I was almost like, what have I got to lose? And I'm just going to put it in. And it works like the missing part of the manifestation puzzle. Because if you think just pretend you've got your phone and you are in a wooded area, or in the bush, as you sort of call it over here, and you're trying to make a phone call. You've got all the tools to make the call, but the density of the woods doesn't allow that message to go out there to the satellite. And it's the same in your home as well. If you are doing the work, you're putting your intentions out there, you've got the dream, the desires, and everything. If the energy in your home is too thick and too heavy, it's not getting out there to the universe, and it's going to drag you down, whether you believe in manifestation, putting things out there, or whether you just believe that in your own energy, the more positive you are, the more good stuff you attract back, the more creativity you have, the more productive you are. So if manifestation isn't your thing, take that out. But how you feel in your space will affect how good you are at your job. And so it works by taking away that heaviness in your home. And it also works by intentions. And so I'd been so specific with my intentions to my business. Like I had this random figure in my head that I wanted to earn, £42,000. It was like 42,163. I don't know where I got that from. I wanted a team of this many people, and this is how much product I wanted to sell. And I was like, well, that's not working. So actually, I'm going to take away the specifics, because I don't really know what I want to do, but I know how I want to feel. And I want to help people. That teacher in me still wanted to help people in what I did. I wanted to work remotely because at the time I knew that we were coming to Australia, and I didn't want to build something that I'd then have to rebuild again when I was over here. I wanted to be financially independent, and not just financially independent. I wanted to go and buy myself, silly stuff if I wanted to, like just the stuff that I saw other people have. And there is that vanity side of me, or that bougie side of me, whatever you want to call, but that's the fun stuff in life. I wanted to go on holidays. I wanted to pay for things. I wanted to book a weekend for me and my husband and be able to do it off my own back, which I couldn't do as a teacher. I earned £1,800 a month, which is just less than like $4,000 a month as a part-time teacher. And that, that was where I felt my cap was. And I could never even think of earning more than that, double that, triple that, whatever it was. And I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to go for it. So I put everything in. And then a month later, I had an email from the lady who did my home to say she was running her last ever practitioner course. So if I wanted to be a Feng Shui consultant, this was the time. Never did I ever think that this would be something that I would do, but I put it out there. So I am open to opportunities that allow me to do all of these things. And here comes this email. Now, it wasn't an easy decision because it was 10,000 American dollars, so 15 Aussie,
Mm-hmm.
15,000 Aussie dollars. Bearing in mind, I've been made redundant, wasn't earning any money. And also, I didn't even tell my husband that I'd Feng Shui the home, let alone that now I wanted to do this course and this was my new career pathway. So, that was an interesting conversation. But that was one of the best decisions of my life. And I just now want to show people, especially with, careers, if you track that back, I was made redundant at 40, started a business at 42 with absolutely no business experience whatsoever, huge imposter syndrome, no belief in myself whatsoever. 43 moved countries from the UK to Australia, started teaching Feng Shui, built it, appeared on TV, and then in the last 6 months, I've written 2 best-selling books. And I sort of have to say it really matter-of-factly, otherwise my imposter syndrome goes, oh, you can't say that, that out loud because people will think, you're boasting or you're being big-headed and all of those silly things, But honestly, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I know that's a really long answer to your question, but that's where I am now. And Feng Shui's just completely changed my life.
I love that story because I never like to call women the average woman, but I love to just hear the average, every Joe Blow woman doing incredible things. And it's really humbling to sit across from women like yourself who started off in teaching, later on in life. It's not like you've been doing this since you were 18 years old, moved across the country. Like, it's just sometimes we need these inspirational stories to remind us that you don't need to have it all and you don't need to be in a particular part of your life just to give something a crack and make something incredible of it. Like 2 best-selling books, appearing on the morning show. That's a pretty cool resume.
It's amazing, but it is, please also don't think it is also petrifying. Like the first, so I started my business in November 22 and I was asked to go on, it's called This Morning in the UK in February 23. So I'd had my business for 3 months and they contacted me on Chinese New Year and said, it's a pretty male dense show. We'd like a female to come on. I was like, perfect, that's fine. I can go with that. And I was petrified. I remember sitting on the sofa with these giant cameras in front of me. I don't know why I thought they were obviously going to be smaller. I guess we're so used to people filming on phones. And I was like, I really needed a drink. Like I had no saliva left in my mouth. When you're that scared. And I needed a glass of water, but my hands were shaking so much that I had to put my head like to my glass because I was shaking. And I just had this real moment. And when you have these moments in life, and I almost call it like you have a choice of walking through 2 doors, and which one do you take? The one to play small or the one where you have to learn to fly. And I sat on this sofa and I just had this moment and I thought, if I want to do if I want to go where I want to go with this, if I want to help people with this, I have to be okay with this. I've got to be okay with being uncomfortable because I want to show other people that they can do it too. And sometimes I think what holds us back in our careers, and somebody said to me, well, it was great because you had the belief in yourself. And I really didn't. I really didn't have the belief in myself, but I had the belief in my message, that I believed in the fact that Feng Shui can change people's lives. No matter where you are, your background, where you live in the world, it can change it a little bit. It can make it a little bit better, or it can completely transform it. That's what I believed in. And so I just had to take myself out of that equation, and I am just the messenger for that. So when you believe in something so badly, but you don't have that confidence to do it, just shift that mindset and turn it into the belief in what you have, your product, your business, your purpose, whatever it is. And that will give you the confidence to do it.
You make your story about somebody else, your work about somebody
Yeah.
else, and yeah, take it off yourself. Now, briefly in your story, you did touch on this, but tell us about the origins of Feng Shui and the principles behind this body of work.
So It's been around for about 4,000 years. So that was another thing. I was like, well, if it was something like a bit of a fad or it wasn't true, surely by now it would have been found out. So Feng Shui is obviously, it's a beautiful Chinese philosophy, sort of concept, if you like. And it's been developed over years, and there's about 120 different schools of Feng Shui, which makes it even more confusing because you'll follow one person and they'll say, do this, and then you'll follow somebody else and they'll say, do this. So there's lots of different, so pick your Feng Shui consultant and stick with them. It's a bit like if you follow 10 different PTs and one of them will say, run a marathon, the other one will say, do Pilates. Just stick with one, otherwise it gets a bit confusing. But the idea is that every home has an energy, and that energy can either support you or it can make life feel really difficult. And we use the compass in Feng Shui, and you divide the home into 9 different areas. And each of these areas represents an area of your life. And you can go and find these, so you can stand in the center of your space and use your compass on your phone, and you can sort of just pivot around in a circle. You can find these different areas. And it's about creating an energy in this space that represents what it is that you want to bring into your life. So if we think about careers and wealth, then the 2 main areas there, you've got the southeast area, and that's your wealth, prosperity, and abundance. And you've also got the north, which is your career and business as well. And then it's about aligning these spaces with what it is that you want to bring into your world. So, are these spaces cluttered, a bit chaotic, a bit dull and boring? And how is your life then also represented like that? And using this space, I use my home as like a giant vision board. So, in each of the areas of these 9 areas, it represents what I want to attract into my life. And the South area looks after fame, reputation, and recognition. So, a couple of weeks ago, before I decided I wanted to approach the morning show, I was like, do you know what? I'm going to give this a bit of a spruce because it's in, I'm so lucky. I've got a walk-in wardrobe, never had a walk-in wardrobe before. Like, I can't tell you how different things are. And it's got these shelves, and I just had a couple of random pictures on it. I thought, do you know what? No, I'm going to put all the silly stuff that I've been allowed to purchase for myself on here, as well as some pictures of some of the beautiful holidays that we've been on. So I've got the perfumes, I mean, how expensive is perfume? But I could never do that. Like some are beautiful perfumes, and they're all polished and they're all look lovely, and a couple of, bags that I've purchased, and there's a photo of us skiing on this shelf. Like that for me. And then I've put a written intention inside one of the bags and said, this is what I want to do. I want to do more TV. I want to talk about this. This is what I want to do. So, and I now stand in front of that every morning, and it's not just a storage space. I'll have a chat with it. And I know it sounds mad, but I'm like, okay, I've given my house a name. I'm like, come on then, what can we do today that's going to help me towards that? And it's like having a really supportive partner or best friend in your life, that you feel that you're not doing this alone, like you've got that support. And when you've got the energy in your home helping you, it just feels like you can conquer anything. So that's almost like where the modern side of Feng Shui has come about. Ancient Feng Shui may be about, having a lucky cat here or a money frog there, for example. And that's great if you believe in that. But I don't resonate with it. I wasn't brought up in that way. So I don't see a lucky cat and go, oh, that's going to bring me loads of money. I'm like, oh, that's cute and quite fun. So, whereas for me, what represents wealth is actually pictures of us on holiday, because that's the time that I'm allowed to go away, not allowed to go away, that I can take away from my business, and also the finances to be able to go on holiday as well. So it's about realizing your home's got energy and it can either help or hinder you. So what can you do to make it really help you in what it is that you want to do?
We talk a lot on the podcast about your energy influencing the clients that will come into your business,
Yeah.
the success of your business. And obviously, our home will impact the way we think and feel. We know when you walk into a room that is cluttered and chaotic, you feel that. You want to get out of there. You're not inspired to work in there.
Yeah.
So it does make sense. Your home will impact how you think and feel, which will impact your energy, which impacts the results and the circumstances you're manifesting in your life. And that's why I was so excited to sit down with you today, because we spend so much time in our home. And I know I'm looking at this fake plant thinking, I bet you're about to roast me on that. I know there would be so many women listening to this, and we're about to get into exactly what would be welcoming wealth and what would be blocking it. But probably starting to realize, oh my God, my home is not supportive of the life I want to create, but yet I spend so much time in this home. So let's get into that. But I would love to start with things that we can remove from our home, because I feel like that's easier. And then we can talk about what we can add and spruce up behind the scenes. So tell us some of the common mistakes you see people make within their home that would be blocking money and wealth flowing on in.
So I'm honestly like, I don't judge. I am not a judgy McJudgy
The
feng
plant,
shui
get rid of
consultant.
it.
I promise you. But okay, I will touch on dried flowers in a moment. But I think one of the things that I did a poll on my Instagram last week, and it was about what is it that's stopping you? Like it was about releasing the full moon actually a couple of weeks ago now. What is it we want to release? 49% of people said that they wanted to let go of old versions of themselves, old views, what we think of ourselves, because maybe our maths teacher at school told us 35 years ago that we were rubbish at maths and therefore we can't do our accounting and our business. Like all of these blockages come from somewhere because somebody's told us these things. And so, one of the things I think in business as well, you have to evolve. We're constantly evolving in business. My business doesn't look like it was meant to look when we planned it out 6 months ago. And, you go with it, you evolve, but that's not always easy. So, just making sure that in your home, it represents who you are now. And one of those things is your wardrobe and releasing old clothes, clothes that no longer fit you, clothes that you feel you should be wearing because it gives you this authority in what you do. And I did that at the start. I was like, one must wear a suit because that gives me authority in what I'm doing. Do you know what? No, I feel so much more comfortable. I've got about 17 white t-shirts. That's all I tend to wear. But I feel so much more comfortable in it. I also feel that in my business, I need to be approachable. People need to be able to come up to me. When I go to the, to Pack Fair or Coles, whatever, and people are like, oh, hi, Kimberley. And I need people to know that I am just a normal person. You can come and ask me these things. So what is it in your wardrobe that you have maybe from previous jobs, maybe uniforms, even lanyards from places that you worked at? When I was evolving from a teacher, I still had all my teaching books and my folders on my bookshelf. And I knew I was never going to go back there. So why was I keeping it like this emotional pull, almost like proof I was once a teacher? You don't need to prove anything. So what is it in your wardrobe that you can let go of? And like wear the stuff that makes you feel good. I remember I never used to wear white in England because I was like, oh, I'll just ruin it and I'll just get something down it. Wear it if it feels good. Like wear your nice stuff because it just lifts your energy so much. And I always do my hair and my makeup every day as well, because as vain as that is, it makes me feel more confident. Pictures in your home, how many pictures do you have of now, of you looking how you look now? Because we tend to have pictures from either weddings or special occasions or like kids or whatever, like if you're a mum and you've got kids, like from when they were younger. But you need to be setting an energy of where you are now and where you want to go to, because that version of you is who's going to take you on to the next version of you. That person, when you look at the photo and you go, oh my gosh, she was full of anxiety, she wasn't happy, she was feeling like this, or she was, a bag full of nerves. You need to have, I'm not saying get rid of all of them, but does your house represent who you want to move forwards to? And that's also with your artwork as well. So do you feel that you have inspiration? Do you feel inspired when you look at the artwork behind you? Like the picture I have behind me, it doesn't necessarily look like anything to anybody else really, but it's called Halo. And so it's almost like these little angels all around me that are looking after me. And I know it sounds a bit spiritual. I, believe it or not, I'm not actually that spiritual, but it's just for me, I feel that I've got that backing of things around me. I've got my, my book on the wall as well. And but even before that, it might be you might want to travel. So having pictures of you traveling and I don't know, maybe you want to meet somebody or go and move somewhere. Your house needs to be this version of who you are now. And having older stuff, having lots of clutter, the energy, clutter is a big part of Feng Shui. It's not everything, but the reason why it is a big thing is because the energy needs to move around your home. And if you feel stuck at the minute, which a lot of people are, there's a lot of energy in this year of the fire horse year, and sometimes it can feel so scary that it's easier to stay put. So then we feel stuck and resentful about all of these things. So the energy needs to move. The more stuff that's in the way, the harder it is for things to move. So if you feel you're going round in circles with relationships, with arguments, with your wealth, with your career, move it. You can still have decor. I'm not saying that you need to live in a home that just feels like, a shell. You can have decor, but stuff, no, it needs to have a home. And then just briefly touching on the artificial dried flower situation. So, what that represents is, and I always say to people, I'm such a people pleaser. I'm so hard at saying no to things, but um, if you feel that there is any part of your life that's stagnant, then that's where artificial flowers aren't going to be helping. So Feng Shui is about life, it's about energy, it's about growth. And if you think real plants, they have roots, they are in the ground, they are rooted down, they are slowly growing, they are strong, they are supportive, they are protective. That's the energy that we want in a home. Whereas dried flowers, like you feel like if you squash them, then they break.
Mm.
How many times do we get squashed in our business? Quite a lot. We don't want to be broken. We need to still bounce back and be strong. We need to have strong roots because if you build anything that doesn't have strong foundations, like that's what we're trying to set. If you feel that stagnancy, that you are exactly the same space as where you are like you're trying to move, but you're still the same in the same place as you were 6 months ago. That's when those artificial and dried flowers could be having an impact in your space, especially if you're feeling that you're lacking creativity, you're lacking productivity. Have a look what's around you, like trying not to work in spaces that are meant for rest. So, like your bedroom or in your living room, they are rest areas. So they are, yes, sometimes you need time to, to come down, but what is it that makes you creative? And this morning I was writing my segment for the morning show and I have my little routine to do that. I have my coffee, obviously because now I live in Australia, I now have a huge coffee addiction. But I listen to music. I have music on in the background. I write with pen and paper, and I let my mind go. I have an Aesop incense stick that if only I was sponsored by Aesop. Hello, if you're listening. Like I have this routine that allows me to be creative, and if you feel that your home will have spots where you feel more creative, more productive. Work in those spots. If you feel like you need a complete fresh change, go and work from a cafe. And it's funny because in the UK, there's this real cafe working culture where it would be completely normal to sit there with a laptop working away. And I don't know if it's because here on the Gold Coast, a lot of people are here on holiday and so therefore they don't want to work, or maybe you've just got a better work-life balance and you have to take your laptop with you you don't take your laptop with you everywhere. But sometimes I feel just going out, going into the fresh air and getting that inspiration is just keep thinking of, am I stuck? Am I going around in circles? Could that be from my home? And do I feel more inspired when I'm out? Do I feel like I've got more energy? Then that mismatch tells me that there's something that can be improved in your home.
Mhm. If you were to walk into a successful woman's home, what are some of the first things that you would look for to ensure that her home does match what she's trying to create on the external?
It's funny because it wouldn't be anything to do with like the aesthetics of it. It would be the pictures she's surrounded by, the where she works.
Mm.
So does it represent her and where she wants to go? So like I was so lucky that when we moved to a house 6 months ago, I've managed to build my office. You know, I've never had an office. I've always worked, you know, I built my business on a put-up desk in my bedroom, which is terrible feng shui. Like you should never work from your bedroom or from a put-up desk because it's, you know, it's not strong. It's not giving you the foundations. But I built it on a temporary desk. Like, please don't feel that you've got to have everything together in order to build a pretty successful business. But I was able to do that here. And so when you walk into my office, it matches me and my personality. It's soft, it's strong, the colours are inspirational. I've got family pictures, I've got plants, my dog sleeps in here. Like, so it's still, it's homely, it's still friendly. And I think a home where somebody feels relaxed and that they can be them, that is when somebody is successful in life, in their family. And it's got to really represent who you are. If you feel that you don't deserve to be in your space or you don't feel aligned with it, maybe not, you know, even just being comfortable with who you are, that inner confidence. And it doesn't come from wearing the suit, it doesn't come from having everything shiny and looking amazing. It comes from that energy within the person. And that for me is a really relaxed household. Is there sofas where you can feel you can just go and flop on and just go at the end of the day? Is the kitchen a bit of a mess? Yes. Is the laundry room a bit of a mess? Yes. But where I work, that is so pristinely thought about now because of where I want to go, the dreams that I have for my business. I want to take it to the next level. So I need to have the systems and the energy around me to support me in that next venture. So I'm surrounded by things, and it's really subtle things. Yes, I've got crystals on my desk because for me, I believe in them. If you don't believe in them, you don't need them. I've got pictures that represent transformation. I've got my book, I've got candles that are expensive and I love burning them. Not all the time because you know they are expensive, but sometimes you just feel, do you know what? I need a bit of a nice pick me up. Like the little things, a nice pen, a nice coffee mug, things that make me feel deserving of having a successful business.
And it makes the biggest difference. Like, God, it feels good to light that candle when nobody else is home, even though it's the most expensive one in the house. My
And I'm
favorite thing
literally
to do.
burning money. I'm
Yeah,
literally burning money,
I
but
love
it
it.
smells amazing.
Yeah. Now we'll move on. We're kind of on that path now, moving on to things we can add to our home to
Yes.
welcome wealth. You talk on your Instagram about your daily front door ritual. Tell
Yes.
us what that is and why.
So, as long as you don't mind what your neighbours think of you, like our neighbours moved in about 6 weeks ago. Heaven forbid what they think of me. But there we go. Again, confidence. I believe in it, and do you know what? What's the worst that can happen? So, the front door is where all the good stuff enters, the good energy and the opportunities. Now, if you live in an apartment, your front door will actually be your balcony or your view. So the Feng Shui front door is like the face of your home. So the sort of characteristics are, if you like. And so, what you can do and what I do is, especially if I've got a big project coming up, so I'm waiting on some big sign offs of things this week in the UK. So, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm doing this every day. And I open my front door and I get a dustpan and I literally sweep it down. And when I'm there, I say to myself what I say out loud: I welcome all the opportunities that bring me health, wealth, and success. You can throw a bit of happiness in there as well, because you know I do think that sometimes we focus a lot on wealth, and there needs to be a bit of happiness in it because you can be happy and wealthy at the same time. And I do it every day, and I stand there and I let it come in. And I also play on Spotify. You can play like cleansing energy frequencies if you want to sort of play that cleansing energy, and it resets the day. And so I'm almost saying out loud, like, come on, show me what you've got. Like, what is out there? Because I think one of the biggest pieces of advice that Feng Shui's taught me is that you never know what is out there. And for example, people may say, this year I'd love to go on holiday to, I don't know, wherever you want to go on holiday. Do you feel you have to work for it? Or would you be just as happy if you'd won it? Or if somebody was like, oh, I've got a spare ticket to come to this, would you also like to come along? Yeah, like show me all the ways. And I think it's really nice to believe in the fact that you don't have to work really hard for things. Like I have an affirmation this year about creating more magic in my life. And because I had about a list of about 1,000 affirmations, and I was like, this is just getting too complicated. Like drill it down and down and down and down. What do I want? I want more magic. That magic can be brand collaborations. It can be being in department stores. It can be speaking at events, but also it can be holidays. It could be $1 million. It could be all of those things. And I welcome more magic into my life as well as more time. So I'm trying to find that balance now of taking my foot off the accelerator a little bit and welcoming in all the opportunities where I can still spread this beautiful Feng Shui magic around the world, but bring me opportunities where, for example, like being on this podcast, by being on this podcast, so many more women can learn about what I do by going back on the morning show. I can do that once, and so many more people can hear about it. So I welcome all of those opportunities, and I cannot tell you, well, I can't tell you at the minute because we're waiting for sign off, but some of the mad things that are coming up this year, like, and stuff that I would never have dreamed of. And it's just believe that it can come from anywhere and just dusting down that front door, saying that you welcome in all the opportunities that bring you health, wealth, success, and happiness, whether you want more magic in your life, looking after the southeast of your home, your wealth area, your career area, your fame and reputation, and just believing in yourself. It can honestly change. It can change everything. And don't get me wrong. There are days when you sort of sit at the desk and go, this day can't get any worse. But you're almost then testing the universe because it goes, oh, I can make this worse. I can I can just do this for you. And you're like, okay, thanks. Maybe you can make it worse. So some days you do get that. And I'm not saying you have to be falsely positive because again, I think that's a real downside to manifestation sometimes when you have to see the good side of everything. And yes, in Feng Shui, it's built upon a really beautiful principle called Taoism. And Taoism it's all about being at one with the world. And the more modern linkage is actually like with Winnie the Pooh. It's called the Tao of Pooh. Like there is actually a book about it. And how he's like, oh, this happened, but it's all going to be okay. And I'm not saying you have to sort of be like that, but be angry, be upset, be envious, be jealous. Like you see somebody else get something and you go, well, they've been doing this a month and I've been doing this for so long. Like, how come that happens? Like, do that, get it out, go for a walk, and then go, right, okay, what can I do now to change that so that doesn't happen again? What can I learn from that? So I think, what can you learn from it? And also, if you do see other people, making huge headway above you, did you really take every opportunity and did you really put yourself out there? And I saw something the other day on Instagram, which I loved, and it was something like throw it out there Thursday or something. I think she did it on a Wednesday, but now I'm going to do throw it out there Thursday. Every Thursday, just write an email that scares you.
I love
Go
that.
and ask for something that, in theory, shouldn't happen. But you never know. The podcast, the collaboration, the interview, the radio, whatever it is, the business partner, the funding, the investment, just put it out there. Because the worst that can happen is they say no, and you go, okay, fine.
Like you're going to be okay.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not going to die. Like I've written some really scary emails and I've either not heard from people or they've gone, thank you, but no thanks. But I tell you what, there's some that have come back. Do you know what? That's quite a good idea. So like the morning show over here, when I came over, you can bet your bottom dollar every single week I emailed them to their generic email address. This poor person at the end of that email address must be gone, oh my God, it's that
When
Kimberley
is she
again.
going to give
What
up?
does she want? Is she going to go away? So maybe they asked me on to make me go
Shots
away. I
fired.
don't know. But, you know, they never
Worked.
said no, though. They just didn't come back to me. So I was like, oh, well, obviously they didn't get it. I'm just going to try again. And every week was a different segment idea. What can I do? What can I do? And so, put yourself out there, ask to speak at events, because ask to go on podcasts. You know what it's like as a podcast host. Sometimes you're like, oh, what can we do this week? And you may get a request. You're like, actually, yeah, that's really cool. Or no, it's not the right time at the moment. So just, use your home and back yourself. And I think when you feel that you've got that supportive energy behind you, sometimes it just makes these things a little bit less scary.
Mm. Sometimes we forget how supported we really are by the universe. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, everything is energy and we can manipulate our external. It's not up to us to make everything happen, but so many women are addicted to this hustle, this struggle. They
Yeah.
then wear that as a badge of honor. I did it all myself. The example you gave before, if you were to earn that trip or win that trip, would you want it as badly as if you worked your ass off for it and actually made it happen yourself? Probably wouldn't feel the same. And I think that's the problem for so many women. If we just sat back and surrendered a little bit more and put the work in for sure, but also
Yeah.
receive just as much, we would be so much further along in our lives.
Yeah.
So I love that front door analogy. And I'm going to start the front door ritual for sure, but I do use this as an analogy with my clients. Is your front door in quotes open right now
Yeah.
to your clients? You want clients to walk through the door, but have you actually opened the front door to let them in? And
Yeah.
so many, when they think about it, like, yeah, I'm so closed off, I haven't opened up that front door. So I absolutely love that. And I know something else you talk about is cleaning your windows and opening up the windows and just allowing this energy to move freely through the home. And again, you don't need to be super spiritual or woo woo to understand that concept. It makes sense. Things need to
Mm,
flow and move. And if everything's so shut off, so are our opportunities.
And I think as well, it's about, like you just said, like making space physically and energetically for new things to enter our life. And I got caught up in the I'm so busy mentality. And yes, I was working mad hours. There's been many 70-hour weeks in this business. And I'm not going to shy away from that, because building a business by yourself, it needs it. You're doing marketing, you're doing your emails, you're doing the actual job. Then you think, oh no, I've not done my podcast this week and I've not done a reel, like all of these things. But I was saying I was so busy and then no new stuff was coming. So, how can you make yourself more efficient to allow space into your life for these new opportunities to enter? And I think if you do say, like, I'm I'm so busy, I'm working so hard, then, if you believe in the universe, it might go, well, I don't want to give you any more, because that's going to
That's
send you over the edge and into, overwhelm. So it's about making that space. And the last thing that I feel I've got time to do every day is go for a walk.
mm,
Whereas actually, if I go, I'm saying I've got time to do this. I can look after myself. So if the right opportunity comes, I have got time to build this into what I'm doing now. And whereas if you say you're too busy and you don't have time for anything, could you be missing out on stuff that is around you?
yeah, it makes so much sense. Now, you speak about a spot in the home that is good for wealth, and I know you've got a reel and you're sitting there voice noting in this particular spot in your home. How can we find that spot in our home, and what makes a spot good for wealth?
So there's there's different depths to this. So I obviously know my home inside out, and I know the exact energy that is happening in each of the spots of my home. So that's very unique to mine. However, everybody has the southeast spot of their home, which looks after, as I say, your wealth, prosperity, and abundance. That is going to look after you. That energy is going to look after you from a financial point of view. So, and we ignore walls in Feng Shui. So once you've found it in your compass, walk as far as you can in that direction. And if you've got an apartment, it's probably like an arm span, like two arm spans sort of width in sort of most houses. If you live on in a house and you've got a ground floor and a first floor, you get two southeast areas, which is amazing. So in that space, really utilizing that for even sending voice notes. And again, having that energy that I'm sending a voice note to a potential client, for example, I've got that energy behind me and that belief in me that this is going to work out. It is going to be amazing. And that reel that I did, it was a genuine voice note to somebody very scary about something that I was pitching to them. But damn right, I was sitting in that space and I'm putting it out there because I was like, right, I am surrounded by all of these things that are looking after me. And so it all just comes down to aligning that energy. So if you're there and you're sat opposite something that's inspirational to you, again, a picture of going on holiday to the Maldives or whatever it is, and you go, do you know what? This one voice note could get me there. Look at that picture when you are sending that voice note. And for me, a lot of it is about energy exchange. So many things that I pitch for is done in a voice note or done. There's a program called Loom, which is quite similar to Zoom. And Loom is it's sort of like a more softer version of Zoom, and you can do it with presentations behind you. I send Looms to people. I send videos to people. I'm like, hi, this is me, because there's an energy behind it. It's not just text. And when I was building my business, everyone that messaged me, I would voice note them back so that they knew I was a real person. And I think in this age of, AI, people are really lacking that communication and that community together. So believing in yourself that people want what you have and then using the energy in your home is just going to double up that energy. Now, the other thing that I have in the southeast of my home, and it sounds really witchy, but it doesn't look witchy, I promise. It's called a wealth bowl. And this wealth bowl, I've actually gone one step further and I've made a wealth tray because I'm like, do you know what? I welcome it all in. I'm just going to go big guns here. So in the south east area of my home, I've got a wealth tray, which is like a mirrored tray. Like there's like drinks trays that you can get. The mirror is really important. So if you don't have space for that, you can just use like a mirrored coaster. And then I've got a glass tea light holder, and the glass is important. In that tea light holder, I've got things that represent wealth to me. So I've got some cash. It's like a little piggy bank in there. I've got an affirmation of things that I want to attract that will bring me wealth. I've got a citrine crystal as well. For a while, I had business class tickets in there because I was like, well, that was fun. First time ever being able to do that. My goodness, do I want to do that every time? So that would go in there as well. So anything that represents wealth to you, that can go within that bowl. Put it on a mirrored tray, put it in the southeast of your home. People have got lottery tickets in there, new car pictures, new house pictures, all of those things. And that is going to bring you wealth into your home. The other thing that I'm going to get you to do, or ask you to do rather, about wealth, I know it doesn't relate to the voice notes, but now I'm on a roll, is your kitchen is also linked to your wealth and prosperity. Because if you think 4,000 years ago, like your wealth was being able to eat and the food and be able to cook food. So the stove it represents like the nourishment in your home, this energy coming in. So cleaning your stove, but cleaning your stove with intention that some, magic money, call it whatever you want, is going to come into your life. And I did a reel on this. It was about this time last year. There were over 50, and I can't remember how there were, over 50 people that won on the lottery that week.
Wow.
Like utter madness, doesn't make any sense. Or people that had rebates from work because they'd been paying too much tax, like stuff that you never hear from. So please believe me when I say that you don't always have to work really hard for the opportunities and the money that can come into your life if it is really aligned with what you do. And I think when you're a business owner, I think there's two ways that you can feel about stuff. There's a real guttural no, like when something comes up, and it might be a person, and that person may be offering you an amazing deal, but you know that there's something about energetically about this deal, this person, whatever, that doesn't feel right. Then there's another feeling that feels quite similar and it feels aligned, but it's really bloody scary. And it hits you in the gut and it's that scary, anxious feeling. So both of them in your body, both of them feel like no. No, because of the energy, and no, because it's scary. The scary one is the one that you go for. And so when you feel aligned to something, but it's scary, that is where you're going to grow with that. The no, the energy, the people, like working with people that bring your energy down is just, it's exhausting and it's really hard to pull yourself out of that energetically when you are in that space. And sometimes, they say like ripping that band-aid off, like it's really hard sometimes to make that decision, to have that conversation with people in whatever business you're in. But sometimes to move forwards, you've got to release what it is that's holding you back. And that might be emotions, it might be people, and it might be situations in order for you to grow.
It's so true. It is so true. And you can really feel the difference between a scary expansion
Mm.
and an unaligned no. And
Mm.
getting to know that within your body is one of the most powerful assets in business. Okay, I love that tray. I'm going to create one of those and find that room in my house and do that. What are some other things we could be doing if we were heading into a launch or a campaign or a really busy period in our business? I've heard before if you get a bowl of water and put that somewhere, that can help. Is that true?
Not something that I practice, but it doesn't mean it's not true. But things that I do, so say I'm coming up to a big launch, things that I do, I would strip the bed, like clean it all, like get rid of any of that old energy. So the day or the day before the launch, do all of that. I also wash my hair. And that's like a bit of a pain because my hair's like curly. But anyway, like almost like cleansing all of that energy from beforehand. I will have a clear up of my desktop, my computer, if that is where this energy is coming in. So my desktop is completely clear, my emails are sorted, I will have everything clear to go. The same with my phone. Is everything replied to and read and filtered? My emails, everything put away. In the home, the washing is done, the ironing's done, like everything is set. The windows have been open the day before, the doors have been open the day before. I walk through with my incense stick or a candle, I cleanse the energy and I make sure that my energy is centered to receive what is the best outcome. And I think, again, taking away numbers, sometimes numbers help. So you might say, I don't know, I want 100 clients, for example. I'll just make that up. But don't forget to say like 100 clients or more, because it may be that there's 200 out there. But I think it's about preparing for what is coming. So there's that sort of energetic side in your home, but there is also something that I've made sure that I've done that is also really scary, is investing in systems in my business that will allow me to grow before that growth comes. And that's really scary because it's investing in something where you don't necessarily have the money. I was doing things before I could really afford it, whether that's my website, a photo shoot, members areas of websites, all of these things ready so that like when I launch my practitioner course, could I take 100 students if 100 students applied? Yes, I could. And there's things that I could do that for. So because if there is anything energetically about your launch that you are worried about, then that is going to repel anything that is coming towards you. And so it's just what like it just really drilling down, taking time, going for a walk. What is it that's panicking you? Or they're like, oh gosh, what if they join, or what if that person joins? Like you've got to be ready for everything that is aligned. So clearing the energy out with the old, in with the new in the home, making room. Again, am I too busy or do I have time? Like those sorts of things. And making sure that energetically you are in that place of receiving, not panicking. Panicking is not how you receive a hugely successful business
Mhm.
launch. Throw it out there Thursday. Have you asked? Have you done the reel that makes you feel really uncomfortable? Do it. Like, what is the worst that can happen? Because you talk about your shop, like your front door, your shop door is also like your social media. And you have to be in people's, you know, 35 years ago there was some research that said that you have to be shown an advert 7 times for you to be able to remember that product, and that was based on films and people going to the movies and watching something. Now in 35 years, what we see now in terms of products and advertisement going around, it's like living in the middle of a fruit machine, like a slot, like it's just, there's constantly stuff going on. So we have to have about, it's something like 30 to 50 touch points with somebody before they decide that they are going to come to us as a service provider or product, whatever it is. So are you turning up on social media? Are you putting yourself out there confidently? Again, not necessarily in you, but in your product. And so then when it comes to launch, you need to be able to sit there and go, I have genuinely done everything within my power to make this success a success, because on the day of launch, your energy needs to be open and as calm as possible, because things will happen that you weren't expecting. There'll be a mass, I don't know, internet outage or something, and your internet, your website goes down, something like that. You have to be as calm as possible. And I think launch day, you can't have any regrets. And it's the same with my business. Like if it all ended tomorrow, have I done everything that I wanted to do? Yes, I've done everything.
I love that. I love that. I have done launches where I have not done the cleansing. The house was a mess. You are prioritizing the business, but you're not taking care of yourself behind the
Yeah.
scenes. And I just get so pissed off at myself because I'm like, now I'm annoyed because, the laundry basket is overflowing and I'm not going to have time to get to that. Or we didn't do grocery shopping yesterday. So now I've got no food to
Yeah.
nourish me, but I need to be nourished in order to make money. And it does really annoy me. So I love that you've just reminded us you've got to go into a launch knowing that you fully prepared for the
Mm,
best outcome possible
yeah.
and make the time to actually do that. I always say to my clients, you can't collect 4 liters of water with a 1 liter bucket. How big is your bucket? Is it big enough to hold the levels of success that you are wanting to call in within this
Yeah.
launch? But I personally love the things we can do around the home. I know something else you talk about is getting rid of or paying bills and then actually getting rid of them out of your drawer. We have a drawer in the kitchen and it's one of those drawers that's just full of shit that just gets off the bench and into the drawer. And I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
immediately clearing that this week
Yeah.
because it's full of just bills that we've paid, but for some reason we still hold on to old cards and licenses, just stuff we don't need.
Yeah, especially with those bills, because you're sort of setting an energy of like, oh, I like this stuff, I'm collecting it. No, I don't want to collect bills. I want to collect people paying, I want to collect the money, but I don't want to collect the energy of the money going out. If you do have to keep bills, because obviously we always do, like invoices, if you keep them in a folder, like a blue folder is really good energetically, because the blue is the water element. And so this like cools it down a little bit. So if you think a bill is quite fiery, so anything blue or black will just put out the fieriness of those bills if you have to keep them. And then anything you want to grow is like a really nice like sage green sort of color folder, because that is the wood element, so that's going to bring growth to it. So if you want to color coordinate your folders, you can do it that way.
Okay, I love that. Now, just to wrap up, what are some things that we could be doing in our home to bring more calmness? We've spoken a lot today about how we can bring more wealth and more abundance, but sometimes it's nice just to have a spot in the house where it's not all about wealth and productivity and creativity. It's just a place where we can relax and just be calm. So, what are your favorite things to do around the home to bring that softness, that calmness, that exhale that we all need at the end of the day?
Oh, it's so important, isn't it? And I think something that I really struggled when we moved to Australia with is because the houses are built for the sunshine and the brightness, and the apartments are like lots of glass. And in Feng Shui, that's a yang energy, it's the effervescent energy. And we want the yin. The yin is the, it rhymes with dim, that's how I remember it, like the yin, the softer side where you can relax. And so, as you say, it's just about creating that one space. It doesn't have to be in the whole home. And for me, that's like my bedroom. The bedroom is that soft space. The bedding is, it might be seen as quite boring, but it's neutral colors, it's soft linens, it's where I can go. There's no TV, there's no pile of laundry that needs to be put away. It's literally there for rest, romance, and relaxation is what your bedroom is meant to be for. It's not for working. And I think one of the downsides, I mean, it's an upside and it's a downside, is that our work is everywhere we go. Our phone, my phone is either in my back pocket or it's on my desk next to me. Like it's with me all the time. And your laptop is there. So if that is near where you sleep or where you're relaxing, you're never going to switch off. And please don't feel that I've got this absolutely sorted, because I don't. When you've got a business, you're on an online business, people can contact you at any time from anywhere in the world. But I think you have to be really strict and go, do you know what? I can see my emails, my work emails on my phone, but I never reply on my phone. I can see, and if I do, then I come to my desk and then I will reply that way. So I have that sort of boundary. Even in terms of work messages, there's an app called Telegram, which is a bit like WhatsApp. So if anybody has my work number, I respond to them on Telegram, so that I know then my WhatsApp and my messages aren't being taken with work. That's friends. And if there's something on Telegram, I'm like, okay, tomorrow morning I will go and do that. So I think we talk about a calm space in our home, but it also has to be the technology, like our phone as well, because we do use that. I love a doom scroll at night time, and it's awful, but I do, but I don't want to be reminded of work. So in your home, have you got somewhere soft and just where you can literally curl up, where you can switch off, and you've got your favorite pajamas that you put on, or your favorite slippers, or whatever it is, and just have a look around that space. Can you relax in that room? And if you can't, there's a few things that I would just check. And sometimes with open plan living, we call it the command position in Feng Shui. And this is about having your back against a solid wall. So just like you are where I am now, like that solid wall behind us, it means that our nervous system can relax, because we don't have to be looking over our shoulder as to what's coming. So in your bed, that would be an ideal position. Solid wall, you can see the door of the bedroom, but it's not behind you. And the same in your living room as well. If you can have a spot on your sofa where you're not open to the room behind you, that will also help you relax. If you're in an open space, could you maybe put a plant like by the side of the sofa, just to slow that energy coming down? Energy is always moving around us, and in really open plan spaces, it moves really, really quickly. So we need to be able to slow it down with plants, with rugs, with soft furnishings, to change the lighting as well. So if the lighting is below eye level, that mimics sunset. So our mind goes, oh, it's time to relax. The lighting's below our eye level, it's sunset. So having that option to change the light, burn your expensive candle, that's that time to do it. Really bring those energy levels down, so that when it's time to go to bed, and I always do this about 5 o'clock, the main lights go off and the bedside lights go on, so that when I go into my room, I don't have to turn the big light on to then find the smaller light, and my body goes, oh, I know this, it's time, it's time to wake up. Just softening everything, because I think, sleeping as a business owner is sometimes tough. 3 in the morning, that's when you get woken up and you're like, have you thought about this? What if this goes wrong? That email that you sent, was it a bit too pushy? Like, all of those things come and haunt you at 3 in the morning. So you need to have a space where you can fully let your system relax, knowing that then the next day you can get up and you can start again and get that energy back again.
I always put my lamps on before the sun goes down. So when I walk into my bedroom, and I also burn a candle in the room, even though I'm
Yeah,
not sitting in there. But just when I come to bed at night, the room smells beautiful, the
yeah.
lights are nice, and it just makes such a big difference when you hop into bed. You can relax so much easier.
Mm.
Now, I'm very mindful of the time, and I know I said that was my last question, but one more thing. You talk a lot about how the months of the year influence our energy, and I know you do certain things in your home depending on the month and the year, and you even tie in astrology, what's happening with the moon. You are talking a lot at the moment about May being a big month and expect a lot. just quickly run us through what we can expect for the month of May, given this will come out in May, and what we could be doing in the home to support this energy.
I'm obsessed with like astrology, but like astrology in the home, which is Feng Shui, the year of the horse. And you, the reason why these zodiac animals were created is because it was believed that every year has a pattern. And so they use these explanations to tell us what this year is going to be like. So last year was about the year of the wood snake. So you have the element and then you have the animal. So the wood is the plant, the strong, the growth, the laying the roots down. And the snake is about not wasting your energy, like pouncing when it's ready to pounce, like that's when it would go onto its prey, but also about shedding because the snake sheds its skin. And so last year was the year that we were supposed to leave behind all the stuff that we don't want to bring with us into this year because this year is the year of the fire horse. So we go from wood to fire, very different energies. The fire is always burning. So from the get go of this year, it's been go, go, go. And then the horse, again, a very different energy to the snake. It doesn't always run, but it's building up to run. So at the beginning of the year, it was very much about analyzing its environment, what's going on, where are my threats? You know, it's an animal of, of prey, so it needs to understand what's around it. But then it will start to gallop. And in May, June, July, we're gathering speed. But a horse can't gallop well with baggage. And that baggage is anything that you feel you need to release because May is about growth. And I've mentioned this a few times now, like growing from strong foundations. If you've got anything, I'm not saying, you know, we can't get rid of everything that creates cracks in our life. We can't, you know, we grow from them ourselves, but it might be someone in your business. It might be a client. It might be a system that you've got set up. It might be these old versions of you. Take this opportunity of growing from where you want to grow from. And so it is about May, about releasing that and putting yourself out there because people want this growth to happen. We are wanting to see this, we are wanting to experience it. And also realize, you know, other people are going to be feeling this as well. So they are wanting growth. So if your business offers growth to people, or you may be thinking, well, actually, my competitor, they're growing. Yeah, because there is this energy out there that is supporting this growth. So put yourself out there, know that this is the time for that growth, but also say goodbye to the stuff that isn't supporting you because June is getting quick again and July, and then August is all about alignment. So that's when everything will all start to sort of slot in place with all of this hard work that we've done. So I don't want people to fear it, but I just think it's like the weather. If you know it's going to rain all day and you wear a rain jacket, it's much easier to stay out there all day. So the same with the energy. If you know what we're surrounded by, then you can plan for it. And it just makes it a lot easier to navigate because I think this fire energy is what leads people to burnout and to overwhelm because you get to the point where it's like stood next to a treadmill. The treadmill's running so quick that it's too scary to jump on it. And you're either going nothing or 100 miles an hour. And you want to find this like this bit in between. So please know you can get on the treadmill, but with a bit of strength and force, you can make it go at the speed that you want it to go at as long as you are moving forwards.
It does help to know what's happening energetically because we are
Mm.
influenced by this, and without knowing what is surrounding us, it can feel unexpected or we're not
Mm.
really sure why we feel this way. So that's why I love these conversations to explain, and I can feel the fire energy and I'm ready for it. I'm excited for it.
Amazing.
Well, Kimberly, thank you so much for sharing everything today. I know I've learned so much. We all have some homework. Throwing out the artificial plants, cleaning our windows, getting rid of those bills. I love the idea of the folders, the blue folder and the sage green, and just clearing some space and getting ready for the next few months in our businesses with this fire energy and ensuring our homes are supporting us. So I love this so much. I've learned so much and I really do appreciate your time. Just quickly, where can they find you? What's happening in your world if they want to learn more from you?
So I'm the Feng Shui Flow on Instagram, and so is my website. And my book is called The Calm and Happy Home. And then I've also released a journal this year all about the year of the fire horse, which is called The Calm and Happy You. And in that, that's available on Amazon. That goes through month by month, like what energy we've got, how that can be navigated with work and your home, with money and finances as well. So there's lots out there. But if you've got any questions, more just reach out to me on Instagram and I'll be there.
I will link Kimberly's Instagram and definitely go and follow her because you're always sharing so many tips and tricks over there. Thank you again. I'm cheering for you on the morning show. I'll be
Oh,
sure to watch.
thank
And it's been a
you.
true honor. To everybody who has tuned in, I hope you found this episode really helpful and go and do your thing. Clear some space this weekend to spruce up the home because we need it for what's coming. Alrighty, well, we're going to leave it there. Kimberly, thank you again. And to everybody on the other side, I'll talk to you in the next episode.